All right, it is time for another Master Passive Income show. My name is Dustin Heiner, and I help people to quit their jobs by investing in real estate rental properties so they never, ever have to work a job again. Now, in today's show, we're going to be talking about how we can balance our life so we can invest, so we can work our job and have a family all at the same time so that we can then eventually have enough properties, have a strong business where we rent properties to people and they pay us money and we make money to live on, and we could eventually quit our jobs because we have passive income coming in from the rents. Now, the balance that we are talking about is the production and production capability balance. It's the P/PC balance, and if you've heard of it before, it's probably from the famous book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. A fantastic book, and I want to talk about it today because in investing, we want to make sure that we're investing for the long run. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. We are going to make sure we have a get-wealthy plan, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, is making sure we have our life in balance. All right, everybody, let's jump into today's show. All right, let's get in there. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Master Passive Income Podcast, where we talk about all aspects of real estate rental properties with a special focus on making enough money so you can quit your job and live the dream life. And now, here is your host, Dustin Heiner.
Sweet. I am so excited that you guys are here with me today. I have been getting so many people that are getting so excited about real estate rental properties, not necessarily about the properties themselves, because obviously they're great, but what they can afford us to do, how we can live the dream life. We can do whatever we want. We can travel the world. We can buy the things we want instead of the things that we need. We can go out and have dinner with our spouse or our loved ones and not worry about the bills. And so I love working with my students that get properties that they move on to change their life for the better. I want to show you how to do that. I want you to get my free investing course. Text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777, and I will personally send you the copy of my free investing course. I put this together. It'll walk you through the entire process of how to invest in real estate rental properties. It'll even show you how to calculate everything, how to calculate the numbers to make sure that you're making money every single month. So make sure that you go out and get this by texting the word rental to 33777, and I will get that to you right away. Personally, it comes to me and I do all the work. See, I'm not like a big company. I'm just doing this. I'm just me and myself. I'm just doing this because I love helping people and I want to help you. So get it for 33777, text the word rental. Now, I want to talk to you a brief second about college tuition. This is before we jump into the P/PC balance in our life, making sure that we're able to continually succeed in our investing business. But now, I personally went to college, and I know many people listening have went to college. I even have people listening that are before, they're not even in college, like they're still in high school. And so I want to talk a little bit about college. Now, since 1978, the cost of college tuition rose over 1,000%. 1,000%. Can you believe that? Right now, it's astronomical. Now, college tuition has increased twice as fast as even medical costs. It just keeps going up. The average student in 2015 graduated with $35,000 in college debt. Can you believe that? I hope you can't, because it's just crazy. Student loans often take 10 to 20 years to pay off. If you get a job, remember, you're just getting a piece of paper with that college education and that college degree. You're literally just getting a piece of paper and hoping and praying that you're going to get a job with that piece of paper. You're not guaranteed anything. Now, my question is college really worth it? I mean, of course you're going to get some education. You're going to get some things you're probably not going to need. I took so many classes that do nothing for me today, but oh well, they wanted me to take them, so I had to take it. Now, here's what I did. I worked my butt off so I didn't have any debt. You can do that too, but look at this. If you're going to graduate with $35,000 in debt, why not take that money, instead of paying that to somebody else, build a business so you literally do not have to work again? Wouldn't that be fantastic if you didn't even need a job? You know, you go to college to get a job, but what if you didn't need a job because you had money coming in every single month? I'm literally teaching my kids, my children, to not go to college, to take that money. In fact, what I'm going to do is whatever money I would normally have put into a college, 35, 40,000, whatever it might be, I'm going to literally give that to them as a loan so that they can go then and buy a house with that as a down payment, buy a house and start building their own business. So they would literally never need to buy or to get a job. They won't need to go to college. So imagine if you had spent $35,000 instead of a graduation debt, a piece of paper, you're going to get a rental property or 2 rental properties or even 3 rental properties, depending on how you buy it. Let's say you used $10,000 and bought 3 different homes. That's $30,000 because you use it as a down payment. You bought 3 different homes at $10,000 down payment, $30,000. You had $5,000 left over to fix up the properties, maintenance requests, and all that sort of stuff. And so you have $35,000 out of your pocket, but you had 3 properties that made you a minimum of $750 total out of all 3 of those properties. That's $250 each times 3. That's $750. You may even get $1,000. Imagine taking that $35,000 in college debt, turning that into $1,000 a month in passive income. That is a no-brainer. Instead of getting a loan that's going to take 10 to 20 years, you're going to be able to make money from rental properties. So I want to encourage you, even if you already have debt, if you already have that, be thinking about the next generation, like your kids and even yourself. Like, don't get into even more debt wherever you are now. We want to use that money to buy rental properties. Now, I want to move on to the P/PC balance. Now, I read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People many, many years ago. Stephen R. Covey, he wrote this quite a few years ago. I think I read it back 12 years ago, like way before I even started investing. I was just really, really wanting to learn as much as I could so I can just basically not have to work a job. So I was learning everything from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Another book that I highly recommend is The Richest Man in Babylon. I love that book. That's a great wealth building investment type book that's basically all of a fiction story, but then tells principles so that we can invest well. Another fantastic book. And I'll have all these in the show notes, in the description. I'll have all these in there as well. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen R. Covey. You have The Richest Man in Babylon as well. That is written by George S. Clausen. Another fantastic book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are phenomenal books that you absolutely should read. Now, I'm going to put those in the description, and you can find the show notes today if you go to masterpassiveincome.com/88. This is the 88th podcast episode. You're going to get all these links and everything we talk about. You're going to get everything written out so you can read it, because more than likely you're driving or you're mowing your lawn or something like that. That's what I do when I listen to all my podcasts, because I can digest all that great information. But then if I want to actually get application and be able to read it and click on links, it's all in the show notes. So masterpassiveincome.com/88, and I'll put that in the description as well. Now, when we're talking about the P/PC balance, I've always wondered how to keep my life in balance, like in proper order, so I'm not going to be burning the candle at both ends. Basically, I'm wearing myself so thin that I eventually just crash and I can't produce anymore. Well, the P/PC balance is a pattern of effectiveness, how effective you are as a person. And that is basically a natural law all around us. So the P stands for production, and the PC stands for production capability. The P/PC balance comes into play when a person does not manage their time, their resources, or their energy very well. And this is where the P/PC balance gets thrown off, and I'll show you about this in just a second. Now, again, the P is production, and the PC is production capability. If you have too much production and too little production capability, it's bad. If you have the opposite, you have too little production, but too much PC production capabilities, then that's bad as well. And so production, basically what production is, it's a noun. It's basically the action of making or manufacturing of components, of raw materials, processes of collaborating and working and producing something. That's production. Production capability is the ability and capacity to make all those things that we just talked about in production. Now, production and production capability, those things, you have to manage them both well. Now, here's an example that Stephen Covey uses that is fantastic. It really helps us to understand the principle of the P/PC. Now, if you have the ability to start looking at your entire life, everything as it's encompassed between production and production capability, it all comes down to the story of the goose that lays the golden egg. It's a really, obviously most of us have heard it, but if you haven't heard it, I'm going to go through it really quick. So Aesop's fable is the goose that laid the golden egg, and basically a poor farmer finds out one day that his pet goose just laid a glittering, beautiful, solid golden egg worth lots and lots of money. Now, at first, the farmer thinks it's a fake, it's a trick, but then he realizes, you know what, maybe let me just go have it appraised. So he takes it and gets it appraised, and he realizes it's literally solid gold. Now, I know this is fake, so this is just a fable, but the goose laid a golden egg, and he realizes that the next morning, the goose laid another golden egg, and the morning after that, another golden egg. And so day after day, this goose keeps laying eggs, and golden eggs form over and over again. Now, this is when the PC balance comes into play. Impatience and greed takes over for the farmer. Now, after a short while, the farmer becomes really greedy and impatient. Even though it's increased, his wealth has really increased, it's also made him crave and desire more things that only his golden eggs could really buy. Now, not wanting to wait day after day for these golden eggs, the farmer decides to try something new. He wants to get all of his eggs now because he figures, hey, it might be inside the goose. So he decides to kill and cut open that goose to get all the golden eggs, not realizing that the goose was producing the golden eggs. It's not just in there, it's actually producing. And he finds that there are no golden eggs inside there. It was the goose that made the eggs and not the eggs that were just kept inside. Now, the farmer doesn't have any more eggs coming, and he also destroyed the goose that produced and created them every single day. Now, the true effectiveness of your P/PC balance and what this fable helps us to understand, we're going to learn from this that the goose and the golden egg shows true effectiveness of what is being produced, which is the golden egg, and the production capability, which is the goose. When they work well together, you're making golden eggs, you're making money, you're doing really well. When one's out of whack, one's not producing and one's thinking too much, and we'll get into it just a second. Now, if you're overly production focused, remember the P/PC, the P is production. If you're overly focused on production of the golden eggs and you neglect the goose, maybe you stop feeding it, you stop taking care of it, you may eventually even kill that golden egg that's producing those eggs. If you focus too much on the gold, then you're going to neglect the goose, and then the goose will fall apart, and then you'll not have the gold anymore. And don't worry, I'm going to get into this, how this actually applies to you. Now, if you are overly production capacity focused, where you're so focused on the goose, you take care of just the goose without the thought of the golden egg, you will not be able to feed or clothe yourself or take care of the goose or house the goose because you're only focused on the goose. You're not focused on doing everything that needs to be done in order to make sure that the goose stays alive. So the more of the story, and one we really should take away from the fable, the goose and the golden egg, is that we must manage and take care of both the production, the P, and the PC, the production capability. If we focus on too much on one or the other, they will suffer. Now, Stephen Covey gave a quote, and I really like this quote, so I wanted to read it. To maintain the P/PC balance, the balance between the golden egg production and the health and welfare of the goose, which is the production capability, is often a difficult judgment call, but I suggest it is the very essence of effectiveness. Now, I'm going to say that you are the only one that knows your capability and your production capability and what you can produce. You're the only one that can know if you're burning the candle at both ends and you're running out and you're going to burn out. You're the only one that can tell that. So it's up to you to figure that out. Now, let me give you some areas of your life to apply the PC balance and how to apply it and figure out if you're burning the candles at both ends, because I don't want you to do that. I want you to be working your job, playing with your family, and investing at the same time. So eventually, you don't have to work your job. You could spend all your time with your family and not even worry about your investments because you have your rental properties working for you. Now, your first one is your physical asset in the P/PC balance. The physical asset is like a lawnmower or power tools or a baker's oven or computer parts or something like that. Those are physical assets that help you to produce things. Now, when brand new, these items work very well and work as intended. But if you do not maintain them, you don't fix them, you don't update these items as you should, their ability to produce will decrease over time, and eventually that asset becomes useless. Just like if you did not take care of the goose, eventually it's the asset, which is the goose, is not going to produce and it'll be useless. Your second thing that you need to watch out for is your financial asset in the P/PC balance. When you invest your money, you have your principal, basically the money you put in, and you have the interest. That's the money you make with your principal. If you want to increase your standard of living by taking from the principal, basically you're investing, let's say you're investing $100,000. I know you don't have $100,000, that's a lot of money, but let's just say you're investing $100,000 and you start eating that income that it makes as interest. But then you're realizing, you know what? Why don't I take away at the principal? Take away out of that $100,000. What's $5,000? So I only have $95,000 invested, but I can still keep the interest, but I'm going to take a little bit. Well, you have $95,000, so you're making less in interest. But then a little bit later, you say, let me take a little bit more. Let me take another $5,000. Well, now you're down to $90,000. Then you take a little bit more, you're down to $80,000 and keep going down. Eventually, you're going to be killing the goose that lays your golden egg. Like that interest that you're making is the golden egg, the principal, the amount you have invested. If you buy one property, if you don't maintain that property, that'll eventually die and you're not getting the golden eggs anymore. Now, the last one is your human asset. Now, I'm going to explain these even more, but the last one in the three, remember, first you had the physical asset, lawnmower, power tools, things like that, your computer. Financial asset, that's the things that the money that you have and investments that you have. The third one is the human asset in the P/PC balance. Now, with physical and financial assets, you own and or control these items much different than with human assets, people. The person you're working with is another human being with different beliefs, different knowledge, different experiences. Not that it's wrong, it's just different. They have different things just like you. Now, if a married couple only focuses on the golden eggs, like the benefits, they eventually become cold and hard and insensitive and inconsiderate to each other, and they don't nurture the relationship to make it better. Now, those are the three. Now, let's go into each one and quickly break down how you can realize this in your life. So, financial P/PC balance. If you're working a job, we all need to provide for ourselves and our families, and we strive to become successful and employed by learning and investing our money in real estate. Now, in your job, you need to get better and better and do better, and there's always room for improvement and advancement, like getting a promotion comes as you improve yourself to be a better employee, in fact, better than your other coworkers. If you only focus on your paycheck, like, hey, I got my paycheck, don't worry, and you tell yourself, don't worry about getting better, you are making everything that you're making now and you neglect your personal development trying to get yourself better, your boss isn't going to be very appreciative. Well, he's going to say, hey, this guy just does what he's told. He doesn't do any more. Why would I promote him? Now, however, if you only that's if you're so focused on the golden egg, you're so focused on the golden egg, you're not going to advance. It's not going to get any better. Eventually, you could potentially be replaced by someone else who is better. Now, if you only focus on the growth, which is the production capability, learning new things, developing skills, and not actually accomplishing things in your job, then you will be of no use to your boss. So if you're only focused on getting better, but you're not actually producing, then you're going to be let go because you're not making your boss any money. So you never get anything done. So you want to make sure you have the right balance between the P/PC balance. I'll give you one more quick one before we jump on the next. In real estate investing, you want to have a good P/PC balance. So each rental property that you own is your personal goose. Each property lays a golden egg. It's in the form of passive income every single month. It's beautiful. You don't have to do anything and you make money no matter what. Now, if you do not maintain, update, repair, and keep up the property, eventually your property will stop making you money because it'll fall apart. Tenants won't want to be there because it's not going well. You're putting too much money into it because you haven't maintained it well. A leak becomes a huge disaster. If you don't take care of your personal goose, basically your property, it's going to stop laying eggs for you every single month. So if you do not also buy properties that make you money and you only focus on the property. So the first one, if we're only focusing on the cash flow and not taking care of the property, that's being too production oriented. The next one is if you're too production capability. So if you only buy properties that make you, let me take that back. If you do not also buy properties that make you money, but you only focus on the property, you don't focus on, hey, this is going to make me $250 or more every single month. You're not focusing on that. You're more focusing on, hey, this is a great property. Look at the curtains. Look how many bedrooms. It's so huge, blah, blah, blah. But you're not making any money. You're only focusing on the production capability, but you're not making money. You're focusing too much on the goose. Eventually, you won't even have any money coming in because you bought the property, you bought the wrong property. Also, in your physical P/PC balance, you want to have your physical PC balance in order. So let's talk about the physical assets. Stephen R. Covey shows an example, and it's a great example of a lawnmower that he used to use for many, many years. For the short term, it ran well. It did the job exactly like it was supposed to, but he did not maintain it. He didn't take care of it. He didn't repair it. It just let it run for 3-4 years. He just kept having it run. After a few years, he realized he needed to take the lawnmower in to get serviced. After taking it in and fixing it as best as the mechanic could, the machine was half the capacity, or produced at half the capacity, because it was so not maintained. It wasn't taken care of. Oil wasn't changed. Basically, it wasn't running like it should. And now, even though he did fix it up a little bit, it's running at half its capacity. It's basically worthless because it's not performing like it should. Now, imagine that you have a car that you drive to work in order to make money. When you first buy it, it runs well. It does the job great. It gets you from point A to point B. But a few years go by, and the only thing you do is add gasoline to make it run because you know it needs it. If you don't put gas in, it's not going to run. But you're neglecting to change the oil, replacing tires, change the filters, etc. You're not doing those things. Now, you have a car that may not even run properly or even be safe to drive because the engine is severely damaged, the brakes are completely gone, the tires are about to fall off, and all that sort of stuff. So you need to look at your life and making sure that you have your P/PC balance in order. You're taking care of the eggs and you're taking care of the goose at the same time. Now, the last one I want to talk to you about is relational PC balance. Now, I love talking about relationships because I love my wife. I love being with her. I love my kids. I love being with them. And I love making sure that my balance is there. Now, when people get married, they do so because they love each other. After some time, the love, it tends to overshadow things like events and life, and things happen in your life that the love kind of gets put on the wayside and you stop nurturing that relationship. Couples tend to focus on the things that happen to them rather than their actual relationship. Because the relationships were strong in the very beginning, they ride on that wave of feelings and emotions, not knowing that if they do not nurture that relationship to strengthen it, it will eventually fade. And likewise, now that's the production. You're focusing on the golden egg. You're focusing on everything that was going great in the beginning, but you stopped nurturing the relationship. Now, likewise, for the PC portion of it, if all the couple in the marriage does is look at each other's eyes all day long, not managing the household, not taking care of the kids, not making money to provide for their food, or not even stopping to eat, or even taking care of themselves, eventually they'll lose a relationship and themselves at the same time because they're not actually producing, they're not taking care of themselves. Same thing with parenting. If you're solely focused on the kid cleaning the room as opposed to just, focusing on the kid himself. So all that to say, you want to have a good P/PC balance in your life. Now, you want to apply this to your life and look at yourself. If you focus too much on the productivity, basically the end result, you may ruin your health. If you're not working out and you're just not taking care of yourself, you may be worn down because you're just getting weak, or you're working out too much and you're lifting too many weights and you're breaking your machine down. You're breaking your body down and not producing. So I want you to look at your life and see how you can make sure this P/PC balance really focuses out in your life. Now, how to maintain the P/PC balance. In order to maintain it, you're in your life, you usually have a judgment call on your part. You know when you are burning the candle at both ends, when you start snapping at your spouse because they said, hey, would you please pass the salt? What do you mean by that? You start doing that. That means there might be something, because you're not snapping at them. You're wearing the candle at both ends. And so it's just wearing you down. So it's not an easy judgment call to make, but it depends on you to see where you are personally neglecting or putting too much time in on one thing. And if you're not balanced, things will definitely show. Relationships will suffer. Things will start breaking down. You stop making money. The goal is to balance the short term with the long-term results and act accordingly. Now, this balance is really, really hard to get a fantastic grade, like be perfect at, but over time, you're going to get better and better at it. Now, when you put it all together, you want to have the goose and the golden egg at the same time. So manage both your production and your production capability at the same time. All right, guys. Now, I hope that as you are investing in real estate, you're taking the time to help and provide for your family, that you're being there for your wife and for your husband and for your kids, and you're being there for people, but you're also producing, putting a roof over their heads. You're doing everything to keep the P/PC balance in your life. You want to make sure that the production, the production is the egg. Your egg is being taken care of and your goose is being taken care of as well. You definitely want to make sure your life is in balance. Now, get out there. Start investing. I want to see you invest in real estate. I want to see you succeed. I've had, in fact, just yesterday, I had my students emailing me properties that I could look at and help them analyze and say, hey, this is a good property, or this is a bad property. This is why you shouldn't go over this property. This is why you should go with this one. And then seeing them buy that first property is so amazing. So I want you to get that free real estate investing course. Text the word rental to 33777 so you can get started. All right, guys, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you guys have a great time out there, getting out there and investing. I'll see you guys next week. See ya.